Are we trying to do anything to
No progress.
restrict our reliance or reduce our reliance on the federal government money?
What, JFAC, how much money came in from the feds? $8 billion, $9 billion?
39% out of 8.9.
You want to?
13.9.
JFAC.
Carl Bierke, Senator, District 5. The question, is there something that we can do to take our lands back, right? 61, I've heard different figures, what percentage? You know, I've heard 62, someone said 63 the other day. It's over 60%. Okay? It's a complicated issue. You think about what that land is being used for. Think about the INL land mass, you know, for the Idaho National Labs. Super complex issue, but we can really address more or less the question of, can we take less federal money? We talked about this a little bit in the last town hall. There was a candlelight, and you have to realize that, you know, we pay money into the federal system. How much of that money do you want coming back? And I think everybody up here might have a different answer for you. I want that money back. I want 100% of that money back. Okay, there's potentially anywhere from another 10 to 30% in addition to what we pay into the federal government for the money that we give back. You think about that. Now think about the issue of the lands and how complex that is. How much money should we get because the federal government owns 60+% of our lands? So this issue of sizing out federal money is to say that, well, we don't want our money back. It's like filing a tax return and you get, you know, notice that you can get $2,000 back and you say, oh, just keep that money. Yeah, is the federal government in debt to like 36 trillion? Yes, that's a big deal. But we should reap the rewards, the money that our taxpayers put into that system. What does it go to? It goes to roads and highways. It goes to our partnerships on our health programs, Medicaid. This isn't money that's just going in somebody's pockets. You know, we can talk about Medicaid. You know, a lot of people don't like Medicaid. But what happened during Obama administration with the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare? We've slowly dismantled what used to be an existing, fairly decent healthcare system in this country to the point now where we have to rely on things like Medicaid. In my district, it's 1 in 5 people are on Medicaid. So, like we talked about other things, when it comes to the finances of this state, you know, I'll take a second because I haven't said a whole lot up here today and I'm not avoiding anything, but people always say, well, how are we doing as a state? And I mentioned at the last town hall, we're doing fabulous. There'll be some people that say we shouldn't spend any money, not even our state money. We shouldn't increase budgets. We're a growing state. This came out a couple days ago. This is from our treasurer. Let me just read what a healthy economy is. Boise, today, Fitch, it's a rating, like Moody's or Standard & Poor's, reaffirmed Idaho's AAA insurer default rating, IDR, that's like our bond rating, citing the state's broad powers over spending and revenues, strong reserve levels, low long-term liability burden, and expected solid long-term economic growth. The top-tier rating reflects Idaho's conservative fiscal practices and consistent economic growth. Fitch also noted the state's strong reserves and ability to adapt to changing economic conditions. Fitch believes Idaho is well positioned to absorb multiple rounds of recent tax cuts and dedicated spending allocations from the general fund, given Idaho's prudently managed budget with significant one-time spending that rolls off to create fiscal capacity. This rating ensures Idaho continues to access low-cost financing and signals ongoing confidence in the state's financial stability. Idaho State Treasurer Julie Ellsworth stated, achieving a triple credit rating once again is a testament to Idaho's strong financial management and unwavering commitment to fiscal responsibility. These are complex issues. You have at least two people here on this panel that are on JFAC. That's the Joint Finance Appropriations Committee. It's made up of the House Appropriations Committee and the Senate Finance Committee. There's a lot of work that goes into managing the money for the state of Idaho. This is what our treasurer says about the state of our economy. So as we're talking about these issues, it's very complex. Would it be nice that the federal government wasn't $36 trillion in debt? Nobody would be talking about this. Everybody would be saying, I want my tax money coming back to my state for my roads, for our Medicaid program, and for whatever else. Some of the money comes back into our college system. But because of the debt of the federal government, this becomes a huge issue. But I'm here to tell you that the work is being done at the state level to make Idaho's economy, great. That's what we should be applauding here and not worrying about how much money we're getting back that we put into the federal system.
Senator Elaine, did you want to say something?
Yes. So I'm the other one that's on the JFAC committee. I'm on the Appropriations Committee on the House side. There's a couple of things that we have to look at when we're talking about taking back the federal lands. There are groups out there that are opposed to that because they're concerned about selling it off to private. So it's not something that everybody is on board with. That is a true concern of a lot of people in Idaho, that if Idaho were to get this land back, that they would sell it and put it in private hands and build more housing and all that kind of stuff. So that is a real concern when it comes to that aspect of it. The other thing about JFAC, and this was my first year on this committee, and the federal government kind of makes it easy to take money because they offer all of these grants. And so our state and our agencies are kind of in the mode that that's what they need to do, is apply for these grants, apply for this money. So we have to change a mindset down there before we're going to be able to get us weaned off of the federal money. The other aspect is that the federal government has a hand in it as well, and it's something that was discussed quite a bit this session, is if the federal government shuts down a program, we're not going to replace it with state funds. So if the federal government does follow with the DOGE that they've been talking about, and the federal funds do not flow into the state for these grants, then the state is not going to replace it with state money, and that's going to help as well.
Thank you. This next question, when will we get our budget under control, and when will we be able to codify what DOGE has done? And I'd like to direct this question to Senator Berkey. Is our budget out of control?
Absolutely not. It is appropriately growing for the growth of the state. I just read what the treasurer has said about the budget. And that's going to be, somebody might have a different perspective of that, but it's not out of control. Since I've been in JFAC, we've done, I'll have to admit it, we've changed a lot about how we've done the budget process. Within my first term, we went to separating those budgets out to what we call the maintenance budget versus the line items. We've gone to a performance-based. We're moving this time into the ability to go back into the base, and we've got tools that can tell us what was appropriated in past years and what is that money currently used for. All that to say is that our state has a constitutional requirement to have a balanced budget every year. So one of our jobs in JFAC is to get that accomplished, right? We can't just say, no, we don't like it. At some point, it's got to be done. Nothing closes down, we don't sign any die until that budget's done. That's important to know. So we look at the percentage increase year over year from base budget to base budget. I don't believe that it's in excess of what the factor would be for inflation and population growth. And then again, there's different opinions about that. But Idaho is doing well. Idaho is changing and really drilling down on the budget process. We're adapting, we're getting better. I have a lot of faith in the process moving forward. As long as I'm on the finance committee, I'm anxious about the next step that we're going to take. And I don't want to paint a picture that we're this sinking ship and our economy is like following what the federal government is doing. I don't think that's positive and healthy. I think we're doing a good job here in Idaho. And if we weren't, I'd be up here telling you that that's the case.
Okay, Senator Berkey, thank you. Representative Hawkins, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, thank you, Dale Hawkins, Legislative District 2, and I'm not on JFAC, praise God. It's a second marriage, you can ask those that serve on it. It's an all-consuming fire that demands all your time. But I don't want to misinterpret. I believe this question was probably directed at our federal government. The state of Idaho does not have a DOJ that is active. And if you're worried about what they are or aren't doing, I will admit that our federal representatives don't seem to be taking ground while they can. And that's who you would need to direct this frustration toward, is our US senators and our representatives that sit in DC. That's where this is falling down. And 36 trillion is a terrifying number. And Senator Bierke is correct that, I mean, I don't know that we say that we have a balanced budget. What we have is a zero-based budget. So if you want to stop growth in Idaho, we've got to cut the intake or the government will spend the money.